going to look at how do we do market and industry research. So here we have the industry background and market insights. Okay. So this is practically, you guys, it's like when you do in other classes, right? So in all of your subjects, eventually you have to research, right? For example, why do we research in general? Someone tell me. Find information. What else? Like find information about what? For example, any subject you take. كيف؟ لا عادي قولي. اوكي مين كمان؟ اي حد؟ ليش نحن نبحث عن المعلومات؟ مثلا نحن نسميه الابحاث، right؟ نبحث عن الاشياء. To solve a problem, right؟ شو كمان؟ حدا من هون؟ ليش نحن نبحث عن المعلومات؟
عشان الجامعة.
مش عشان شي، في سبب ثاني، يعني مش بس للجامعة. خلينا نقول أنت مش في الجامعة. Let's say you're not in the university. Like why would you do research?
عشان أعرف
more details. هلا ليش المعلومات مهم حتى لو أنتم مش في الجامعة؟ Like keep the university aside, right? Research is a whole thing by itself. Just it's that universities support research. So why is research important in general? هلا it's true للجامعة. Who said للجامعة? Who said? Sorry. What's your name? Safe. Okay. So Safe, I like your answer, but why is it important in general? ليش مهم يعني حتى بدون الجامعة؟ الأبحاث. شو بيعمل الأبحاث؟ حتى الأبحاث البسيطة، مثلا أنتوا تريدون تعرفون شيء تروحون الجوجل. ليش أنتوا تبحثون؟ تطوير, right? You want to تطوير in English, say for the class, development of information, right? You want to develop your knowledge, right? Even if it's simple as a Google search, you guys, right? So what I'm saying is like you search Google because you don't know something you need to know, right? This is, let's say, research is the essence of this, right? We're not going to go into detailed research. We're not a literary class. Okay? We're an entrepreneurship class, you guys. So what I'm trying to get to in general, why is research important? Because you need to know things, right? Yeah, right? So you need to understand the موضوع very well to make decisions also, right? So thank you, Shamsa. So all of this has to do with researching is important in every subject. When we talk about research and entrepreneurship and business, these types of things, do you have a question? سؤال? No? Okay. So industry background and market insights are very important. This is what we do in entrepreneurship and business, is when we research about the industry that you want to. So you're all creating final project ideas. They're inshallah going to be real business, let's say, right? So you should be looking at the project as if it's a real business, not just any project, right? So if you're trying to really open a business, you need to understand, last class we looked at who are the competitors. Then we looked at who is your target market. Today we're going to look more into the industry and the market of your product or your idea. So what does this have to do with? Let me show you. So here we have industry and background. Again, it just contains important information about which about which industry and market that your product fits in the most. So let me just show you. There's many ways we do this, you guys, and I'm gonna show you all the websites that you can use, okay? Can someone give me their final project topic or idea so that I can use you as an example? If you're okay sharing it with everybody, as this is recorded.
We can share ours. It's like it's an app that helps students and group to know and to their task in the project, and it will basically tell you how much percentage each one in the group have done.
Okay.
So it's like that, and it has like a group chat and a calendar and a reminders. So it's like all in one app.
It's like a productivity for groups.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice. So let's use Zainab's idea, and Shamsa, you're with her, right? And Shamsa's group, Zainab's group. So let's use their, okay, so if we're looking first, I'm gonna obviously give you all these websites, but first we can look at the industry. So you guys, what is the difference? Let me just show you, which I didn't open yet. Ah, I'm in the wrong account. Let me just log in. Okay. So what I want to show you first, the difference. I'm going to use this as an example. Okay, so the first example, we're going to look at the difference first between what is an industry and what is a market. Okay, there's a difference. So I'm going to use, anybody here a fashion design major? Nobody? Okay, like we're still going to use the example, right? So the industry. What is an industry, you guys? The entire system of businesses that produce similar goods or services. What does this actually mean? It means like anybody, same field, anybody related to this. It could be designers and textile mills, clothing manufacturers, clothing retailers, the ones who sell it, the factories who create it, the fashion magazines who talk about it, right? So like all this ecosystem of people, anybody related to this industry. The fashion industry is any company, any entity, anything that is related, that does business related to this topic. Whereas a market, you guys, is just a more specific focus. So for example, let's say we have the fashion industry, but there are different markets in the fashion industry. We could have luxury handbags or just handbag in the market. We could have the market for sustainable clothing companies that focus on eco-friendly material, for example. We could have a market for athletic clothing, right? Like clothes just for athletes or just for, gym, right? We could have even, handbags, shoes, right? These are all specific focuses. So the difference, practically very simple, is that industry is just a larger idea of the topic. Any business that has to relate to this. The market is a more specific focus. It's more targeted towards what you actually do. So we need to research both of these to understand more about your idea and the trends. For example, you guys, why is it important to understand? We're gonna go also to this website. This is a website from the US Small Business Administration, right? So it's just showing, it's very good resource that, obviously it's a good resource in the US, we're not in the US, right? But still it's a good resource about why do we do market research? There's many reasons. So we need to understand our consumer base from the beginning, right? So you guys, also just to a heads up before this, that's important. It's not enough just to do research online. So I'm showing you a vital part of research, but the most important type of research is something not online. What is it? Can someone tell me? We talked about this before in design thinking. It's important to do what when you create a product? Not just online searches, but what?
You need to observe the customer needs.
Exactly, customer needs. You need to talk to people. You need to test your ideas with people. You need to observe actual people, human, right? Even AI can't replace this. You need the person who you're targeting, the target market, to learn about their problems, try to create solutions for them, test it with them, and then throughout the way understand if it's working, right? So it's not enough just to do secondary research. Secondary research is when you go online or you read books or you do things. Primary research, primary means you talk to the person, you interview the person, you interact with the person, right? These things are the most valuable in entrepreneurship because the internet, again, is not the person's feelings, values. You can't test things with them unless it's, real. So this is why we do it. We get the answer. We answer the following questions to get a good sense of the market. Demand. Do people actually want it? You'll see trends. We call them trends. On TikTok, for example, you guys, what's trending? What does that mean? What is So all of you use, I'm assuming you guys on the phone. I'm asking you about TikTok. What does trending mean?
What people are watching and doing.
إيه بس خليني أسمع من حدا هون. I know you know the answer here, but let me hear from here. I know you know the answer بس بدي أعرف شو هو trending؟ لما تروح تيك توك انستغرام trending شو معناتها؟ حدا عامل قس
شيء يحصل وايد فيدباك
كيف؟
عن شيء وايد فيدباك عليه فالوز.
أنت قصدك في التيك توك trending. Can you say in English?
Something that gets a lot of feedback at that moment.
Feedback. Okay, but positive feedback, right?
Yeah.
Because trending would mean that so many people like it, now it's showing up on your page, right? So you guys also Instagram, for example, what is it called? The page. Explore page, the explore page. Do any of you know about that? So on Instagram, when you go explore page, why is it there? Because it's popular, right? So same idea in entrepreneurship. Trending, same word. It means trends. People are starting to love this thing, right? So this is what we study in entrepreneurship. We need to understand what trends do people love in your industry and market, and what things are not trending, right? You want to see what things are actually gaining attraction that people are buying. People want to buy, right? So that's why we look at actual example. Then we have also market size. How many people would be interested? Halla, this one is more like a number. Obviously, you just focus on a group of target market people and you see if it meets their needs. That's most important. Numbers, you guys, at the end of the day, if they're just statistics like online, it's not really showing you that much. You need, again, like people. Like maybe you want to test your idea and get a percentage of people who liked it, right? But when you look at like huge statistics, this is how many population use this. It's not really telling you that much, because in the end of the day, the product, why is it used? It's because it meets the user's needs, right? And this again cannot be found through the internet. So again, these things are just like background research. You need them, but they're not things that have higher weight than in-person research, where you actually test things, because these things are way more important and they help you actually understand if your product will work, right? So does it make sense so far? Are there any questions? أي أسئلة? So the difference between industry and market is clear in what we're saying so far? Any questions? من ورا? No? Okay. So you guys, here we have economic indicators. What is the income range and employment rate? That could have to do with, you know, I mean, yeah, obviously you want to know the economic state of the country where you're trying to innovate in, right? That makes a difference. Maybe if these things are low, that's what you're trying to fix, right? Obviously you need to target your product towards the population, like what are they able to afford? What are they, you know, able to actually use? Location is very important, because statistics, you guys, and people's cultures impact the way they look at products, the way they use things. Even things trending in the UAE, for example, might not be trending in the US, right? Just because, obviously though, that has changed because of globalization. Now we have a lot of Western influence, right? So meaning that the West influences a lot of things here. For example, like trending music. A lot of it is coming from the West. Or trending technology. Whereas, that's why it's important also to look at globalization, right? But in general, where are you going to start your product? This is where you should focus on. How will you meet the people's needs here, right? Market saturation. How many things are already there? This is have to do with competitor analysis. So this was part of your research already, which you already, inshallah, finished. If not, of course, you can do it and you watch the video again and do it. But looking at how saturated the market is. What does that mean? You guys, saturation means how heavily populated something is. So for example, like, one of the most densely saturated, or that's not correct English, the most saturated market, like one of the most saturated markets, for example, is the chocolate market. Why? Because they're like everywhere you go, there's a chocolate brand, right? Or cookies or cupcakes. Like these things are so saturated because there's like so many competitors, right? Every mall you go to, that you can find the cookie or a cupcake. And maybe it matters to you, the brand, maybe it doesn't matter to you, right? So it's so saturated. But obviously you probably buy certain things for a certain reason, right? But for me, for example, as a consumer, if someone were to interview me, I would tell them, for example, I really don't care where I buy it, I just need the cookie, right? Like I don't really care where it's coming from. If I'm in the mall, I will find the cookie place. I don't really care the brand, right? As long as it looks nice, right? So this is why you do user interviews. I'm giving you example of just me. I'm one person, right? But all of you have different opinions. All of you have different reasons you buy things, right? So like people would need to understand your buying preferences and what causes you to buy them. Okay, so market saturation, again, you already did this, which is looking at how saturated is your market. How many competitors are there? Are there many competitors? Are there less competitors? Is the market so saturated that it's hard to compete? This would be called a barrier to entry, you guys. So what we call a barrier to entry, it means it makes it harder to enter the market. An example of this would be a highly saturated market. If you are trying to sell chocolate and there's 1 million chocolate places and it's very hard to compete, we call this a barrier to entry. It's hard to enter the market. It's not impossible, but it's a barrier because you have to really differentiate yourself to get customers to buy you versus other brands. And there's 1 million other brands, let's say, right? Okay, and then pricing. Pricing really depends, again, on many things, you guys. What do people prefer? Who is your target market? So all of this has to do, these are a lot of research areas. What we're going to focus on today is, looking at demand, market information, location information, right? So these things, what we do here, and I'm going to show you, what we're going to do is actually use Statista. We have many different examples. So I probably will give you this example. Or actually, okay. So Zainab, I'm going to use this example I have here instead. And then I will let your group think about it, okay? So, Halla, I'm going to show you an example. So, we do research and find trends on industry and market. Okay, طيب. I'm gonna give you an example. Hello. So let's say I want to open, this is my example, okay? Let's say this is my business. I'm gonna give you example. So this is what you're gonna do with your final project, depending on what you're making. Just look at the way I'm looking at the information and then you will understand where this is going, right? So let's say I want to open an ice cream shop in Fujairah. Okay, really random. I don't know why, don't ask me, all right? It's not a real business, but let's say I want to open in Fujairah an ice cream shop. طيب, I want to open an ice cream shop. First, I looked at my competitors, who's selling ice cream, why are they buying that ice cream, like what flavors do they have? I'm just looking at competitors, right? Now I'm done looking at competitors. I need to understand some more information about the industry and the market. The industry would be, if we go to this website, it's called Statista. Statista, you guys, is a very good resource. It is paid, but not all of the features. You're not going to use the paid version, you're going to use the free version for now, with the websites I give you. Okay, you don't need the paid version right now, just the general idea. So, if we go to Statista, I want to look at what is the industry of the ice cream shop. Okay, so ice cream, let's see, advertising, no. Agriculture, no. I'm not talking about the ingredients of the ice cream, right? Chemicals, no. E-commerce, consumer goods, maybe. Construction, obviously not. So if I look through all of these, it's probably going to be in consumer goods, but which ones? Home improvement, food and nutrition, maybe. If I type the word food, let's see what happens. So we have, okay, so this is important. We have here retail and trade. So you guys, retail and trade, this would mean like I'm maybe selling in bulk. I'm not selling in bulk. I'm talking about opening a Fujairah ice cream shop, right? So this would be a consumer good. It's not like retail and trade. This is like when you sell in bulk, okay? Like, you know what I mean? Like when you go to Souq al-Sini, okay? Like when you go to the the Chinese market, if any of you have been, like you can buy in bulk. You know what I mean? Like tiles for the floors. These are bulk. This is retail and trade. Travel and tourism. That would be more if I'm targeted toward tourism. Let's say I'm not. Let's say I just want to open. Let's say I'm local and I just want to open a Fujairah ice cream shop. So I would be like consumer goods. So food and nutrition would be the most matching. So I would go into food and nutrition, and then I would see all of this information. Again, please take in light. Like I said, I'm going to re-emphasize a lot that this is important, but not as important as talking to real people. These numbers mean nothing if you don't understand the need of the consumer, because then you won't sell products, right? This is like the global look. This is the global outlook, which is still important to know. So the food industry is seeing several continuous growth revolving around sustainability and healthy living. That's a trend. People want to be healthier. More and more consumers are interested in brands that are not only going to offer them healthy and nutritious food, but that take environmental and ethical concerns in food manufacturing into account. So people are now caring about ethicalness, right? Environmental impact. You know, one of the best brands, has anyone heard of Ben & Jerry ice cream? Does anybody know what's happening to Ben & Jerry ice cream? Yeah. Do you know what's happening with...
I heard about it, I forgot.
Okay. So you guys, Ben & Jerry is one of the most famous brands. They are owned now by Unilever, I believe, and... they are owned by Magnum and I think Unilever. So what they did is, obviously, you know, the problem happening in Gaza, right? Haram, Allah يساعدهم, Allah ينصرهم. These big problems, right, in Palestine. So what's happening, he wanted to create a flavor of ice cream. And by the way, he is Jewish. He's not even Muslim, not anything. The owner is Jewish, but he's very ethical. So he wanted to create a ice cream flavor that that represents Palestine, like watermelon. Okay, the Magnum wouldn't allow him. They're like, no, we cannot do that. We're not going to allow it. So they are repressing them, which means that because he obviously what happened is they're now owned by a different company. They were alone, Ben & Jerry. Now they're owned by a different company. So they're not agreeing. So what's happening is they don't, they're not ethical. The parent company is repressing the owner, right? The founder of the ice cream. So what's happening now actually is he's making it by itself. He's going to fund everything, and he's going to make the ice cream flavor by himself. And he didn't really care what, Unilever or the parent company is saying, right? So this also has to do with ethical concerns, right? So that's an example. For example, me as a consumer, obviously, I don't want to buy from Magnum if I see that they're preventing ethical ideas, right? So this man, he just wanted to create a flavor to support the problem that's happening, the problem, very big problem that's happening. So when you see companies that repress this, obviously that's an ethical concern, and many people don't want to buy from these brands, right? So this is what we call ethical concern. So if you look at Ben & Jerry, it's a very good, I would look into it by yourself. If we go here, his name is Ben Cohen. You see? So he's trying to make a watermelon ice cream and they're getting public opinion about the name, ingredients, and design. And obviously, he is supporting Palestine.
Something that's actually pretty important. The scale of suffering of the Palestinian people over the last 2 years has been unimaginable. So the ceasefire is a welcome relief, but there's much more work to do to rebuild. Palestinians are still living under occupation, still recovering from years of suffering, especially Palestinian children. They deserve dignity, safety, and the same rights that every human being should have. A while back, Ben & Jerry's tried to make a flavor to call for peace in Palestine, to stand for justice and dignity for everyone, like Ben & Jerry's always have. But they weren't allowed to. They were stopped by Unilever Magnum, the company that owns Ben & Jerry's. Just like when Ben & Jerry's tried to stop selling ice cream in the occupied territories, they were blocked again by their parent company. So I'm doing what they couldn't. I'm making a watermelon-flavored ice cream that calls for permanent peace in Palestine and calls for repairing all the damage that was done there. And I'm doing this to shine a light on the experience of Palestinian people and children in particular, so the world does not look the other way. But I need your help. I mean, all I got here is some watermelon and a plain pint container. We need you to help come up with the other ingredients for this sorbet and the name for it as well. As for this plain pint, you know, you need to have a design on the pint. Revolutions are creative. Let's see some of that creativity. So thanks for listening and watching it and doing whatever else you were doing while you were doing this.
So you guys, that's a very nice example of, again, ethical looks on consumer preferences, right? So it's a very important also thing that you should be aware about, right? In the industry right now, it's ethical concerns. Okay, so let's continue. More and more consumers are invested in brands that are going to offer them healthy and nutritious food. There is inflation. The prices are going up. Substitutes have struggled to continue growth past of years. Okay, so you guys, though, this is talking about general food and nutrition, right? So what you would do here is you can look at the general information. You would include, for example, in your final project, I would include some general information about the industry, like, of course, paraphrase your information. Like, what is it about? What are some trends? And then you can look at, this is interesting, China is the world's biggest food market. You can look at, like, statistics showing the different food markets. Dairy and eggs, okay, the organic trend. So apparently organic is trending. You would look at all this information and synthesize a summarization, like summarize the main trends for the industry in your final project. So where would you put this? Again, we're gonna go here. If you go to startup business plan, example, you would write your industry name, for example, food and nutrition. And then you would start summarizing a paragraph about what are the trends you found here. And then you could even include a picture of anything you find interesting here that's important for your group. Okay, now we're gonna go to market. This another part of the website. It's called market, Statista market. Okay, so market is, for example, we said, I'm gonna say this food and nutrition. Ice cream market, right? Okay, so ice cream is a market by itself, you guys. So you want to look at the thing that's most related to your product. So for example, let's go here. I'm gonna type ice cream and see if I can find anything. So I see ice cream is already a market. This is the closest to mine because this is obviously the topic, right? So here I'm going to go ice cream consumer or ice cream e-commerce. No, not e-commerce. This e-commerce means what? It means I'm selling online, right? E-commerce, right? Like, I don't know, E always means something, right? So you guys, it means something related to digital, right? I'm not selling ice cream online. I'm selling ice cream, let's say in Fujairah. I have some small stand, and I don't know, in Corniche, Fujairah or something, and I want to sell ice cream. So I'm going to press ice cream consumer. Consumer means people eating ice cream, right? Practically. So translate this in easy English, you guys. People eating ice cream. Consumer means it's just like a consumer good. Now this is where we get more interesting information because it's more directed towards our actual product. So revenue in the ice cream market is around this much money, $109 billion, which is a lot of money, you guys, just for the ice cream market, if you imagine. The market is expected to grow annually by 5.54% each year. In global comparison, most revenues generated by China, interestingly, which I never actually knew. I did not have awareness that China is leading the ice cream market. I mean, I didn't know this until I see this now, right? In relation to population, per person revenues is about $13. In the ice cream market, this is how much volume, okay. So here, the amount of volume per person who eats ice cream. Okay, this one you can't access just because there's no, because it's free, right? So, but the things you can access, which are very important, you guys, is the analyst opinion. This analyst opinion, it talks about customer preferences globally, the trends in the market, local circumstances, and underlying macroeconomic factors. It talks about all of the analyst. An analyst has analyzed the data. So practically, it's fine if right now you're not able to access data. It is better, like when you're building a real business, right? You need to access as much as you can, right? It's better, but if we want just a general idea, we use the resources we have. Again, part of entrepreneurship, you guys, is being resourceful. If someone is not able to, for example, get a subscription somewhere, be resourceful. Use what you can, right? So this is the best entrepreneurs are resourceful. We learned about this in the first lesson, Dahiya. The best entrepreneurs, they're resourceful. So let's look at the analyst opinion. This is globally. But let's say this could be useful. It is always useful globally, but what's more useful, more specific. I want to look at the country, right? So for example, worldwide, we're looking at there's a rise of need for healthier, more indulgent options, dairy-free, vegan ice cream, matcha-flavored ice cream in Japan, because it's like related to their culture. Underlying macroeconomic factors, global trends, national economic crisis, financial indicators. Some countries with strong economic growth are experiencing higher demand for ice cream products, okay, which is really interesting. But let's go to region. At the if you go to the top, you guys, and you change the region, you can change to the country you want to learn more about. So let's use the UAE. If I type United Arab Emirates and show region, it will give me now the analyst for UAE only. So this is helpful now if you want to understand the trends in this country or the country you're going to grow in or develop in, right? So here, we have here UAE. And then it should, let me make sure it changed. So if we change this to global region, let's say UK, show region. Yeah, so it changes, all this information changes. So let's go to region now, let's go United Arab Emirates. Because I want to open in Fujairah, let's say, then I need to know about the UAE, right? So, you guys, the revenue in the UAE for ice cream is $226 million, US dollars. Again, all these same statistics, but different depending on the country. Market definition. So the definition is good. It just gives you what does it mean, what products are included in this market. So to make sure, if you want to make sure before choosing a market, to make sure it's the correct market, look at the market definition. Does your product or innovation fit into this definition? For example, the definition of the ice cream market is dairy ice cream, frozen yogurt, and sorbets. So if I'm one of these things, then yes, I fit into this market, right? And then we go in scope, out of scope, usually this is not included. This is included. Market structure, this is interesting. Methodology, that's not important right now. What's important is to look at the analyst opinion. So the UAE, for the UAE, customer preferences, again, are demanding healthier options. Consumers are increasingly looking for low sugar and dairy-free options with natural ingredients. The trend is driven by rise of awareness in health and wellness. And as you know, in the UAE, we have a lot of programs for health and wellness. If you've seen like many things about running or like fitness, right? There's many things that encourage the public just to exercise. So the UAE is very focused on this, which is very good. As a result, ice cream brands are now offering a wider range of healthier choices. If any of you have been to Ripe Market, there's this ice cream stand that's very healthy. They get a lot of customers because they use natural ingredients, right? Trends in the market. In the UAE, the ice cream market is experiencing a surge in demand for healthier, okay, same thing, it's repeating itself. This trend is driven by consumers' growing awareness of the health benefits of natural and organic ingredients. Because of COVID-19, people have now been buying ice cream online and contactless purchase, which has led to an increase in e-commerce sales. So apparently during, obviously, COVID, people are buying ice cream online. That's the last thing I would think about in COVID, but anyway, you guys, people are looking for ice cream online, right? Furthermore, in light of, these trends highlight the importance of innovation and digitalization. This is like fluff, you guys. In the ice cream market, innovation, that's kind of a fluff word. Innovation could mean anything, you guys, right? But digitalization does make sense. The need for industry players to adapt. So this is important. This is general for every industry, you guys, right? So you need to adapt to consumer preferences and behaviors depending on the trends, right? So this is just self-intuition. You need to ensure that what you create is wanted. Or even better, you want to somehow be a leader and create a trend. You want to be the one creating the trend. You know Dubai chocolate? Everyone should know by now, right? Does anyone not know by now? Then I won't believe you, right? So Dubai chocolate was a trend by itself because this woman created it. She did good marketing. She created something unique. It got trending, right? You want to create the trend, which is even better. If you create the trend, you're at the top of the trend, right? So you either want to create the trend or go with the trend. Either way, it depends on what you're creating and what you're doing, right? It's always nice to be the unique creator of a trend because then you're leading in that product category. Local special circumstances. In the UAE, the ice cream market is heavily influenced by the hot climate. This is kind of obvious. I don't know. I feel like this person is saying a lot of obvious things. Anyway, it's still an analysis, right? And strong cultural preference for indulgent desserts. So, because of this one is interesting. This led to high demand for premium artisanal flavors like za'faran, warad, saffron ice cream, rose ice cream, and using camel milk in ice cream. Because it's a trend here, right? People value this. This is the source, right? Camel milk is sourced here. Rose is a traditional flavor here. Additionally, the country's strict halal regulations shape the market. So you guys, this is important, understanding the market you're in, right? Here we have halal food. Everything has to be halal, right? So in this case, that means there's regulations of what you're eating, which means the food, the ice cream needs to undergo halal certification or needs to be halal, right? So it's the presence of international brands impacts the tourism industry. The presence of the international brands in the country's growing tourism industry have also contributed to the market growth. Last one, underlying macroeconomic factors. People who spend tourism and government policies are big macroeconomic factors that affect or impact the ice cream market here in the UAE. That makes a lot of sense if you think about it, because here the government policies are towards halal food and ensuring that local products are even يدعموا, right? يدعموا, which means to forgetting my English too. Flourish. Thank you. You know Arabic. Mashallah, I was expecting someone Arabic. You deserve A+. Okay, anyway. So, thank you. It flourishes here. You guys. Okay, so government policies, right? It causes things to do that. Tourism here is huge. It's like one of the largest markets, right? So obviously that impacts the ice cream industry because it's hot here. Probably the first thing people want is ice cream. If you go anywhere in JBR, in these places, there's ice cream everywhere because people are hot and they're looking for something cold, right? It's just simple. And then customer spending. It depends on people's money here. It's very expensive to live here. So people are more likely, some people want to pay high quality ingredients, right? You have like Waitrose, which is a UK brand, or all these brands. Like people have consumer preferences. And it depends what they spend. Okay. Does this make sense so far, what we're doing? Yes? هل واضح نحن شو عم نعمل؟ أي سؤال؟ عندك سؤال؟ وراك. You don't have a question? You sure? Okay, so what we've done so far is we looked at the food and nutrition industry to understand the overall statistics and understand like who's leading and what. This is more general. The more specific is we looked at the ice cream market, which is depending on what you're creating. The market, which shows me information. I would obviously look at the global first. Oh, my screen stopped sharing. Look at the global first. And then what you want to make sure to do is to then choose the country that you're trying to target, right? If you are in the UAE, can I use, what's your name again? The EV cars. What's your name again? Muhammad. Ahmed, sorry. Can I use your example EV cars for this quickly? Okay, so I'm gonna end in 1 minute because you need to work on your projects, but I'm gonna EV cars. Electric vehicles. لا, نحن charging, right? Plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. We want to look for something about charging. كله okay. So should we just choose like electric vehicles as the market? Okay. So if we look at electric vehicles, what will be more useful for Ahmed's group is to go here because you're selling worldwide, right? But is your focus in the UAE? Yeah. Okay. So if we choose here, it's important to look globally, but let's say I want to know more about the United Arab Emirates and EV cars. I'm going to show the region. Okay, so now I can see that the projected revenue in the EV car market is about $365.1 million in the UAE. But what does this include? This includes, you guys, it includes the government has invested in development of charging stations, making it convenient to charge their own vehicles. This is a trend, so something important to know. One of the key drivers of this market growth, is the infrastructure. If we come here, electric vehicles, okay, they're healthy. Additionally, customers appreciate the low costs. So, if we go here, so in scope, it includes all of these things. If we look at market structure, is what you're targeting plug-in? Both plug-in or battery? Yeah. Okay. So even if we want to press plug-in, this is really interesting because even plug-in itself is like a subcategory of a market. It could be a market by itself. So if you wanted to even look at, let's say مثلا you want to look at the difference between these two types that you're serving, and you want to know even more about the preferences of users, we could go down. For plug-in, we could go down to the analyst opinion, and then we could see this one is not about the UAE very specifically. So mainly it's just more statistics. What you would need to do, actually, so this is where I'm going. Let's say your topic is not, Statista is good, but it's not enough information to do, like, there are other websites also that give information. I'm going to exit Statista now. You could use this, for example, Ahmed's group could use this just to look at the revenue, look at the general trends worldwide, and also in the UAE, it tells you some things that are important maybe that you want to look at just to make sure you consider. And then what we can do also, you want to look at, there's many things we could do. Number one, you could go to Google Trends. This one is more for products, like to see what's trending, okay? But let's say I want to, what would be more useful for groups would be to look at reports on your industry or market. So for example, EV cars, 2025 report, UAE. I will try to find a report. The electric car, the EV market in Abu Dhabi. Okay, so we found a report by the Abu Dhabi Chamber. If we load it, this is about November 2024 by Siemens. So this could be helpful, right? If you want to look through the information and see, oh, okay, so you were at the event, mashallah. This is great. Okay, so you know the information, mashallah. That's great. I'm happy you told me you went. Okay, so here we have advantages. This one. What you want to do is you could do this. You could do this quotation PDF. It will only give you PDFs. Quotation PDF. It'll give you only PDF. The electric car sector, PwC. EV outlook for the UAE. PwC is a good company. Okay, UAE edition about e-mobility. This could give you useful information. You could even include this in your research. You could even screenshot this if this is useful to you, right? So again, all of these resources, you guys, it's not, please don't think of it like I'm gonna grade you. Okay, like think of it like if you're actually creating this business. In terms of Ahmed's group, you actually have the business. But in terms of other groups, let's say you're actually creating a business. What do you need to include for your group members, for your team, to have a good summary of what's happening, right? Don't say like, should I include this? Should I not include this? Will I get graded down? Don't think about grading. Think about what is useful. Because if you include what's useful, obviously you're not going to lose points, right? You will lose points only if you don't put any effort inside, right? So this could be useful. What I would do then is you would search for reports on whatever your industry is. If I was going back to the ice cream idea, ice cream market UAE PDF, UAE ice cream market size, consumer trends ice cream in UAE, but this is 2012. That's too, back. Right? You need something recent. There's been a lot of changes between 1 year, right? So, if we go here, UAE ice cream market. This one is a little hard because it's not very common to find. Ice cream market in UAE analysis and trends. This could be good. Is it free? Let's see. It is free. PDF. So I found the free market research. Obviously, you want to make sure it's a good website. This one has a contact us. Where is this based? It's in Business Tower. Okay, so I can see it's a legitimate company. It's not some person, putting random information on the internet. But download free sample. See, it's not completely free, but download free sample. What I can do, I would have to put my information. But anyway, you can find a lot of things. So what I want you to do, also UAE, Dubai Future Foundation has good ones you can look into if they relate to your topic. For example, let's look at here. If we go to this one, Future Opportunities of the Global 50, this is a good one. By the way, it's in English and Arabic. If we go here, initiatives, research, and we want to press on this one. Will it give me the PDF? This is a summary, full report. This is the full report. There's English and Arabic for every one of the reports in Dubai Future Foundation. This is the last thing I'm going to show you guys. Okay, let's see if there's anything about electric vehicle. Okay, so Ahmed, there is something here. If you go into also Dubai Future Foundation, their reports, they have in English and Arabic. Every report is in English and Arabic. You just have to type Arabic, you'll find it. This is about the Global 50, the summary of 2025 future opportunities. If we type electric vehicle, we have also important information. For example, total investment needed for worldwide electrical charging infrastructure could be as much as this much in 2030. It's interesting information that gets you thinking and allows you to explore the whole topic. In addition, current electric vehicles have a limited range. They're unsuitable for long-distance private and commercial transport. Maybe this could be an opportunity you look into, right? Let's look at more. Solar-powered electric vehicles could compete with regular electric vehicles. That's very interesting. So these kind of things, you want to just understand the trends, understand the future of your topic. Still developing. يعني هذا الأشياء بس هو يعني واحد يبحث عشان يعرف كل الأشياء يصير في منطقة البحث عن المنتج أو الشيء عشان واحد يعني يعرف عن كل الأشياء ممكن يؤثر على الفكرة. أو you need to be informed, right? You can't just create some product, be like, I'm gonna create this, I don't know what's happening in the country, I'm just gonna open a business. That's not how it works, you guys, right? There's many things, this is just one, right? So that's what I want you to do today. This one also very interesting. I would let your group look at this. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna open your template, and I want you to do summarize the industry information you found from Statista, summarize the market information, and then for more insights, I want you to find your own, find a report, a recent report from 2025. It must be from 2025 because there's been many changes. I want you to look at the most recent information about your market. Okay, it should, yeah, and then you will summarize here. You could even summarize information, and then you could also include screenshots of important statistics or important, information you find. It doesn't have to be all written. Like you could, if you find something important, just screenshot the page and put it here, right? This is, again, a resource for yourself, right? So this is what's important. Okay, are there any questions? I'm going to send you on Teams the links to every website I just used. And also, when you want to find your report, please use Google. What you're gonna do is go to Google, type your market and what country it's in, and then type in quotation, PDF, and the quotation. It will give you PDFs because this is how you'll find better information. You could also use Perplexity again. You could be like, find me a trend report on the ice cream industry 2025 UAE and give me the link. You could have this search the whole internet to be faster. So let's see if it can find me one. It's giving me this, but I don't understand if it's real, right? So you don't want to use this unless you know it's real. This is a full report. Okay. Full report. Can research 2019 to 2030, maybe. No, not really. Up to 2023. What about for EV cars? So it gives you them, but obviously it's much better just to go into the actual PDF because, again, you don't know if AI is just hallucinating, right? And then you'll be misinformed. And honestly, to be honest, it takes more time to just cross-check AI with reality, right? It would just be easier for you to go through the actual PDF and see what you like or what interests you. EV forecast, here we go. Okay, it gave me reports now. But again, actually, yeah, I don't really like it that much. You see, it's not even accurate. It just gave me some Yahoo page, right? So it's not really that accurate. I would just recommend it will save you even time, just to write, what is your market, and then report 2025, and then put in quotation PDF. And then you can look through PDF options that you think are actually useful. You can press, is this useful? Not, go back, find a different one. And then that's how you can find information related to your market. Okay, any questions? I'm gonna give you all the links now, and then make sure to do your report. You find your own report through Google search, okay? Any questions? Inshallah, that's all for today. Just before you leave and you work wherever you want to, let's go back down. For homework, I want you to just read chapter 6 from your ebook. It's in the portal. It's ebook. Press it, read just chapter 6. Chapter 6 is about, it's really interesting. It's about business models, okay? Because I'm going to teach you about business models next lesson. A business model is a whole different thing, right? So also I'm gonna show you how to make a canvas. It's called a canvas. You get to create your own business model. So I want you to read an example before coming to class because it's insightful, okay? So read chapter 6 from your textbook. It's called Sustainable Innovation in 3D Printing. It's an example of a company who creates digital stuff in Spain. So it's very interesting. I would read through it and just be prepared next lesson to do the next part of your final, which I'm going to again show you, which is business model creation. Good? I know I talked a lot today, you guys, but I wanted to show you what it looks like to do research, right? So I'm sorry for the long talk. For the rest of the class, you can get started on your research. Or just start doing it through homework, right? Okay? Thank you. Yeah, I will just stop recording.